Hello, wanted to do some prep for the coming week. It's a big week this week with lots of earnings. I have a few earnings plays that I do. One is by S&B Capital called the Money Trade, and another one is one that I've been working on my own called the Earnings Drift. And so I'm planning on actually paying attention to a few of these. One that I've been interested in a while is Boeing. I want to see how it reacts, and I might get involved in that one. But obviously, the big ones are Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft after hours on Wednesday, Apple after hours on Thursday. Those ones will have a lot of my attention. So that's a big thing to keep focus on this week. But leading into the week, I had a few things. So I mentioned Boeing. This one looks like it could be turning around finally. It did break out of this weekly downtrend and push up over this weekly lower high. And so now it has a potential weekly higher low and could be pushing up higher. It is above the 50-day and the 200 now. So after all that bad news way back when, it looks like things might be turning around for Boeing. So a lot's going to sort of hinge on these earnings that we're about to get. Is this going to be a thing that brings it back down again, or is this going to be a thing that propels it forward? So we'll see. Meta is in an interesting spot where it just broke out here. And I think actually it's time to refresh my drawings and start to think about this thing with fresh eyes. But I will say that the one drawing needs to go back on here is this break of all-time high that we just made. And so that's one you'll want to see, like, how does it, now it's done this long consolidation, does it have a lot of continuation above that? Obviously earnings is going to matter. So are they going to run it up into earnings? We'll see. I guess we'll see. And you can see, like, it's good also to look at previous earnings and what happened. So here was an earnings that it dipped from. It was a positive earnings, but it dipped, right? And it was right at all-time highs for that one as well. So, it's interesting to look and see what's happened with these things before, because I find that a lot of the time what ends up happening is the chart is setting up a specific way, and then earnings happen and they fulfill the most likely scenario of the chart. And so I'm not sure, which came first, the chicken or the egg. And sometimes it feels like the technical analysis is what's going to drive the chart. And so, for example, when I'm thinking about Apple, which has earnings on Thursday, it's had this huge pull in, right? And if you look at it on the monthly, it could be searching for a monthly higher low, right? And it's at the 200-day. It's a daily oversold. It's a really good spot for a monthly higher low. And so you could see earnings coming out, and this, just by the nature of the chart being extended to the downside, like imagine right now if we actually drift deeper down in the start of the week, and then we're really extended, and then we get earnings. The most likely scenario when already really extended to the downside would be a move back up. So I don't know. A lot's going to happen or depend on what happens, but I do know that I'm not going to get involved before the trade unless something sets up early this week that I want to try. But I do have earnings plays that I want to do after the earnings report comes out, and depending on how stock reacts to the news, it could be things that I hold for a while, right? So we'll see. Okay, so that's the earnings stuff. Up next we have TEM. This is what we lovingly call the Nancy trade. So you can see I have this blue line that says CB. That means cost basis, because I had actually bought it back here, I think on this day, when there was some bullish option flow that came out on it, and it was during the AI craze. Because this is basically some sort of, it's like I think it's a biology AI play, or like medical AI play or something like that. I don't really know. I don't really care. That's not why I'm in it. I'm in it because I got in it because it had some bullish option flow. And so when it came down here, I just rode it all the way down. It was a really small position. And when it came back up here, I just abandoned it. And then you can see what happened here from this Friday to this Tuesday. So over that long weekend that we had, sort of Friday to a Tuesday, Nancy Pelosi bought some leaps in this thing that were of size. And so she knows something that like she's I think one of the best traders in Wall Street. So that's why now you see all this volume pouring in as of Tuesday, and it's petering off now. So I'm looking for a daily higher low to get involved in this one, and it was an inside bar on Friday. So I'm interested in this thing coming in and getting hourly oversold for a daily higher low, which is one of my favorite trades to do. We'll see what happens. BE, this has basically had this huge move up, Bloom Energy, and then had a nice long consolidation, and now has broken out of that consolidation and is pushing up. And so my expectation is that this thing can actually continue for quite a bit. And so I'm interested in this for day trades, and I'm thinking about something along the lines of this. You see how over here, got to get my little head out of the way. Over here, you get these little breakouts, right? So price moves up, moves sideways, pushes up further. And this has happened here. It happened, I guess you would say it happened there. But there's a trade that I've been working on called, I call it Access a Runner. It's a trade that I'm working on with a friend of mine. And the idea is you get these moves up and then they pull back into the supporting MA, and really the price action ends up looking like a rounding bottom somewhere here in pre-market. And so you're looking in pre-market for price to be trying to break through a wall, and then in regular trading hours it does it. And on this morning it actually like shot down and then went up. So you don't just buy the first time, you have to trade it. You have to be patient with it and wait for the setup to trigger. Most of the time what happens is on the open, it won't break that low, and it just pushes the low of pre-market, and it just pushes up through. So this is one that I'm interested in for this name. And I saw it basically happened again here where it dipped down, and then you buy the break of that hourly candle and up it goes. So I'm looking to see, are we going to get that again? Is it going to push down towards this moving average in the pre-market and then give another leg up? So interested in that. It is super strong, and the volume is increasing, and full body candles. So interesting one. Now I have a whole bunch of things sitting in this oversold for higher low category. And typically these are hourly oversold for daily higher low is the main one that I look for. But some of these are deeper. They're daily oversold for monthly higher low, or 4 hour oversold for weekly higher low, or, whatever. So Tesla has earnings this week, but I feel like it might be setting up for hitting, like it hit hourly oversold in the after hours on Friday, which would be the daily higher low. It was just breaking down below this level. It could flush. It might come back and test the 50. You don't know, but I don't enter just because it's oversold. Oversold isn't, like RSI is not a level. There is a price level that tells me where RSI becomes oversold, but I don't trade against that level. I'm just looking for the condition, because it's one more thing I have then in my favor to see that something is oversold on the time frame that I care about, or oversold in multiple time frames up to the one I care about. And then I'm looking for a pattern to play that sets up within the holding of the larger pattern. So here, if I'm looking for a daily higher low, I want to see hourly oversold, maybe in a falling wedge, or in a stair step, or in an inverse head and shoulders, or something like that. And then I make my trade based on the setup that I see. So that's one there. Microsoft is a similar one. It had an inside day, broke it, but held. I wouldn't even call that a break. It's more of like a sideways move. But I do think that if it broke the lows of Friday on Monday and came back down, it would test the 5-day moving average and hit hourly oversold. That would be a beauty for a long again. So I'm interested in giving that a shot if it sets up. PLTR, this is a really crazy one. Look at this crazy move up and then the drift down all day. But it's still like stair-stepping up, I think 9 days in a row, right up into these all-time highs. And so with that strength, I'm interested in dips. And I need to see, again, just like the others, I need to see a pattern reveal itself that I could get long against if it came in and dropped down. I do think that based on that price action, we'll see what happens in the pre-market and where it opens up. But we could see that leg down finally, especially because of this crazy candle here. Some people might see that crazy candle as a reversal, and it might be coming all the way back down. So again, with these, you got to be cautious. Apple has the earnings on Thursday, and I think I mentioned there's a play I'm interested in taking, but I do think that if we push down into those earnings, I'm going to be buying oversold conditions into those lows prior to earnings. And the more extreme it gets, the more interested I'm going to be. But again, I'm looking for a pattern. I'm not just buying blindly. IONQ, scout a 4-hour oversold for weekly high or low as this is in a tightening range. Let's look at this on the weekly and just see. Yeah, so, we had this move up, down, moving up again. The down is actually in one candle, and I hate when that happens. So you're expecting a tightening range here. So if we got 4-hour oversold, which would look like this, way down there, I'm interested in that. So it's kind of on watch for me to see if you can get that and then push up again. Oxy, I've been watching for a while. I did make one attempt at this over here that got risk-free and got stopped out. But I am looking for an inverse head and shoulder here on Oxy to try to keep going because there have been so many people buying into this in the lows, and energy just had that nice big run that broke the downtrend here. So Oxy is one that I'm interested in. It does have a declining 200. The 50-day is starting to curl or starting to wobble and possibly curl up. It depends on what happens here in the next couple of days. But we're getting extreme oversold. It just touched 4-hour oversold here, and so this is second 4-hour oversold there, which doesn't have me as excited. But I do know that there's let me just let this build. Yeah, there's like a high volume area here that it's coming into, and another one there that's coming into. If it doesn't hold either of those, we're probably going to go back to lows. So I'm looking for reversal patterns, and probably at this point, 12-hour oversold conditions if I can get them. Let's see. What does that look like? Yeah, that would be right in that range. 12-hour oversold would be pretty sweet. So that's what I'm thinking about. And again, I'm thinking that because we have all these earnings that things might cool off. And also if you look at SPY, I know Shadow Trader was talking about this and Jim Dalton was talking about this. It has all these gaps on the daily. And I talked about it in a video earlier this week that this is super hard has been super hard trading unless you just bought the dip and held on. And so there's a good chance that some of these gaps are going to get filled. Maybe this week, maybe as early as Monday, we'll see. So if that does start to happen and we see some rollover, I'm kind of hoping that energy sees the reverse of that and names like Oxy can finally catch their bid and start moving back up again. That would be pretty sweet because then you have a clear higher low against an area of high volume here that could be some good continuation back to the upside. So I'd be interested in that. And then I have a few other things I'm looking at, but I think that's long enough. I always have a few things on watch and alert set, but just things that I'm sort of side interested in and nothing that I'm actively looking to get involved with. So that's what I'm looking at this week.